The dazzling world of Chinese entertainment has always appeared glamorous from the outside. Glittering lights, carpets, award ceremonies, screaming fans, these images are carefully cultivated and presented to millions, creating the illusion of a paradise for rising stars. Behind the curtain of fame lies a dark machinery few dare to confront. This facade of beauty hides exploitation, silent suffering, and the crushing weight of hidden deals. In a shocking revelation that has shaken both fans and industry insiders, beloved actress Xing Fei revealed that her partner Menglong, admired for his boy next door image, was once ordered by powerful figures within the entertainment establishment to serve guests. The phrase may sound innocuous to outsiders, but within the sinister codes of the industry it carries terrifying implications. The news exploded like wildfire across Chinese social media, sparking outrage, disbelief, and fierce debate. Could it be true that one of China's most adored young actors had been cornered in such a humiliating situation? If this could happen to someone like Menglong, what about countless lesser-known faces struggling silently under the radar? Xing Fei's revelation pierced through the polished exterior of the entertainment industry and forced the public to question what really goes on behind closed doors. Menglong's story is not just about a single incident, it is a window into the wider corruption of show business. He rose from relative obscurity to stardom, building an image of innocence and sincerity. To millions of fans, he represented everything pure and admirable in a celebrity. But beneath that carefully guarded image, he was constantly pressured, monitored, and expected to submit to invisible rules set by those holding financial and political power. According to Xing Fei, one night he was given explicit orders: attend a private banquet with influential investors, charm them, entertain them, and ultimately serve them. To resist would mean jeopardizing his career. To obey would mean betraying his dignity. What makes this revelation even more chilling is the emotional tone with which Xing Fei described the situation. She spoke not only as an actress herself but as the woman who stood by him during that storm. She revealed how he agonized over the decision, pacing endlessly, torn between career survival and personal integrity. Pressure was unbearable. Yet Menglong ultimately refused. He did not bow to the system. He chose silence, rejection, and risked his future rather than lose himself in the shadows of corruption. Xing Fei's confession ripped through the glossy narrative of China's entertainment empire, a system long accused of harboring unspeakable practices but rarely exposed in such a personal, human way. Fans were horrified. Journalists scrambled to trace the truth. Online forums buzzed with theories, accusations, and desperate questions. Was this an isolated event? Or was it the tip of an iceberg the industry had successfully hidden for decades? The illusion of stardom has always been a double-edged sword. For every smiling photo op, there is a hidden cost. Rising stars are often trapped in contracts that strip them of freedom. Behind the glowing lights are unpaid debts, coercion, secret meetings that determine careers overnight. Many fans had speculated about the darker side of fame, but hearing it directly from Xing Fei gave the nightmare a human face. It was no longer an abstract rumor but a lived reality. To understand the gravity of the situation, one must first grasp who Menglong really is. Born into modest circumstances, he carved his path with determination. He wasn't handed fame, he fought for it through auditions, small roles, and years of perseverance. His clean image was carefully built, but it was also authentic. He never leaned into scandals, never chased cheap publicity. That is precisely why this revelation hits so hard. If even someone like him, adored for his sincerity, was subjected to such humiliating demands, then who in this industry can be considered safe? His relationship with Xing Fei has been an open secret in the entertainment circles, though neither openly paraded their romance. Chemistry on and off-screen spoke volumes. Fans often suspected, but it was this very closeness that gave her the strength to step forward. She could no longer bear to watch him suffer in silence. Revealing the truth, she knew she was risking her own career. The entertainment industry has never been kind to whistleblowers, especially women. Yet she did it anyway. Her voice trembling but resolute. She described how the night unfolded. It was after a successful drama wrapped up. Investors were hosting a lavish dinner at a luxury hotel. Dozens of young stars were invited. But Menglong's presence was particularly demanded. It was whispered among his peers that attendance was not optional. At first, he thought it was just another PR obligation: smile, toast, exchange pleasantries. The night drew closer. Instructions grew darker. He was told explicitly to go beyond mere politeness. He was expected to stay behind, alone. Certain powerful guests. For Yu Menglong, this was a line he would not cross. The industry had taken his time, his freedom, and often his health. Would not take his dignity. When he refused, the consequences were swift. Projects he had been promised mysteriously fell through. Stopped coming. Rumors spread quietly that he was difficult to work with. Kiss of death for many careers. Yet, cured it all with silence, never confessing the true reason, until now. Fei finally broke the dam. The corruption of showbiz thrives precisely because most stay silent. Many actors, directors, and producers know the truth, but fear of retaliation keeps them muted. Full figures can blacklist anyone who dares to resist. Careers vanish overnight, and reputations are tarnished without explanation. But Xing Fei's revelation is a turning point. By attaching names, faces, and emotions, he transformed whispers into public scandal. The world can no longer pretend not to see. As the revelation spread, fans flooded social media with outrage. Expressed sorrow, lamenting that their idol endured such pain. Others demanded accountability. For investigations, hashtags trended for days. Even state media was forced to acknowledge the storm, though cautiously. Industry insiders whispered about cover-ups and frantic boardroom meetings. Nobody wanted to be the first to admit knowledge. Everyone seemed aware. The scandal shook the entertainment industry to its very core. The implications are far larger than Yu Menglong alone. His ordeal illustrates a systemic problem, the commodification of artists. The stripping away of humanity in the pursuit of profit and power. In this world, stars are not treated as people but as currency. Beauty, their youth, their obedience, these are exploited until there is nothing left. Many have paid the price silently. Their stories buried. But this time, thanks to Xing Fei's courage, the silence has been shattered. What makes this revelation even more powerful is the element of love. Xing Fei spoke not as an outsider, but as a woman who watched the man she loved suffer. Her voice carried pain and defiance. She did not stand by and let the system consume him. She chose to fight, not with weapons but with truth. In doing so, came both an ally and a symbol for countless others trapped in the machinery. Her words echoed like a thunderclap. He was told to serve, but he refused. That is the kind of man he is. Act of refusal, simple as it may sound. Revolutionary in its defiance. To say no to the system is to risk annihilation. To walk away from power is to walk toward obscurity. Yet Yu Menglong's courage demonstrates that dignity cannot be bought, no matter the cost. Fans, upon hearing this, felt both heartbreak and pride. Heartbreak that he endured such pressure. Yet he resisted. His story has become a rallying cry. Symbol of resistance against exploitation. The storm that followed Xing Fei's revelation was unlike anything the industry had seen in years. Overnight, Yu Menglong's name surged across every platform. Not only on Weibo but rippling through international news outlets. Fans who had adored him for his warm smile and gentle screen presence were suddenly confronted with the brutal reality of what he had endured. Many wept openly online. Thousands of comments filled with heartbreak and fury. Some swore lifelong loyalty, vowing to protect him the way he had silently tried to protect himself. Others, enraged, demanded that authorities investigate the shadowy networks of power brokers and investors who treated actors like disposable tools. What began as a revelation of one incident quickly swelled into a movement questioning the very integrity of China's entertainment empire. Yu Menglong himself remained silent. He was too weary to add his own words. But silence did not mean weakness. His refusal years ago to obey the demand was, in itself, a declaration of strength. The fact that Xing Fei now dared to reveal it only amplified that act of defiance. Every repost, every trending hashtag, every headline was a reminder that he had chosen dignity over submission. And in that choice, fans discovered a new kind of heroism. Not the heroism of sword fights on screen or romantic gestures in dramas, but the heroism of a man who protected his humanity when everything around him tried to strip it away. The entertainment companies scrambled to contain the fire. Statements were drafted, polished, and retracted in panic. Some executives whispered to journalists, them to steer clear. Others threatened lawsuits for defamation, though without daring to name who exactly they would sue. The machinery of suppression was clumsy, but it was also powerful. Too many careers, too many investments were tied to the illusion of perfection. If one crack spread too far, the whole edifice could collapse. And so, the system tried to swallow the scandal before it grew out of control. Yet the more they tried to bury it, the more determined fans became to keep it alive. For weeks, threads of testimonies appeared online. Anonymous accounts claimed similar experiences. Actors who never made it to fame whispering their own stories of coercion, dinners, and pressure. Some spoke of seeing colleagues broken by the system, their eyes hollowed by shame and exhaustion. Others hinted at even worse abuses. Stories too horrifying to speak openly. Whether these accounts were true or not, the fact they found traction proved how deeply the public distrusted the industry. Xing Fei's revelation had opened a floodgate of anger and suspicion that could no longer be contained. Yet amid the chaos, the love story between Menglong and Xing Fei emerged as a beacon of light. Fans who had long speculated about their relationship now saw it in a new dimension, not just romance, but partnership in survival. Xing Fei's courage to speak came from her love, and Menglong's strength to resist came from knowing someone believed in him. Their bond transformed from celebrity gossip into a symbol of resilience. In interviews, she did not glamorize the story. Instead, she spoke with raw honesty. She admitted her fear, her hesitation, her awareness that by speaking she might ruin her own career. But she also explained she could not stand by while the man she loved carried the burden alone. That vulnerability made her words even more powerful, showing fans that the strongest love is not about grand gestures but about standing together against the darkest storms. The scandal forced a spotlight onto the structural rot of the entertainment industry. Commentators drew parallels to past incidents, scandals that had been quietly swept away, pointed out the toxic hierarchy in which young stars were recruited, groomed, and controlled by powerful agencies, highlighted how contracts often functioned as invisible chains, binding actors not just to work schedules but to humiliating obligations. The concept of serving guests became a symbol of everything wrong with the system, a euphemism that stripped dignity from those who endured it. For many, Menglong became the unwilling poster child of resistance. Even international audiences picked up the story. Articles in English, Korean, and Japanese outlets reported Xing Fei's revelation with shock. Western critics drew comparisons to Hollywood's own reckoning during the Me Too movement, asking whether China was facing its version of an entertainment awakening. The similarities were undeniable: powerful figures exploiting vulnerable talent, silence maintained by fear, careers destroyed by non-compliance. And just like in Hollywood, it took one brave voice to pierce the silence. Xing Fei, whether she planned it or not, became that voice. Consequences were not without danger. Rumors spread that both she and Menglong were being watched closely. Future projects quietly sabotaged it. Some fans noticed that promotional materials suddenly excluded Menglong's image, even when he was part of the cast. It was reported that Xing Fei's name vanished from lists of brand endorsements. The punishment was subtle, yet unmistakable. The industry's way of reminding them, and everyone else, what happens when you challenge the invisible order. Yet, ironically, this only strengthened the loyalty of fans. Launched grassroots campaigns to support the couple, buying products, trending hashtags, and flooding streaming sites with replays of their dramas. The act of consumer support became a small rebellion against the forces trying to silence them. The debate surrounding the scandal grew more complex as weeks passed. Some insiders argued that such revelations, while shocking, would lead to little change. The system was too entrenched, too profitable, intertwined with political and financial power to collapse from one scandal. Others, more hopeful, this was the beginning of a slow transformation, chipping away at the armor that had protected exploitation for decades. They argued that public outrage, especially from younger generations, could no longer be ignored. Young fans who grew up idolizing stars like Menglong now demanded fairness, transparency, respect for artists. Beyond the outrage, there was a deeper emotional current that made this story so gripping: betrayal. Fans had invested years of admiration into an industry they thought represented dreams, art, and inspiration. That behind the smiles and performances lurked coercion and humiliation felt like a personal violation. realization that their idols were treated not as human beings but as bargaining chips left a wound in the collective psyche of fandom culture. And yet, out of this wound grew solidarity. Fans became more protective, more vigilant, determined to defend their stars from harm. In this sense, Menglong's suffering became a catalyst for a larger cultural awakening. Through all this, the silence of Menglong remained both haunting and powerful. By refusing to speak, he allowed the story to belong to Xing Fei, giving her the stage to shine as the truth teller. Some interpreted his silence as fear, others as strategy. But perhaps, more profoundly, it was his way of preserving dignity. Words can be twisted, denied, or mocked. Silence, however, could not be refuted. His refusal years ago was silent. Now his endurance in silence resonates just as deeply. The question of reform remains uncertain. The entertainment industry has weathered storms before, always emerging with little change. Yet this scandal feels different. It carries the weight of love, dignity, and a very personal betrayal that fans cannot easily forget. Xing Fei and Menglong's names are now etched together not only as a romantic pairing but as symbols of defiance against corruption. Their story may not topple the industry overnight, but it has cracked the illusion, and once an illusion cracks, it can never be restored to perfection. The dust begins to settle. What lingers most is not just the outrage but the humanity of the story. At its heart, this is about a young man who was told to sell himself for success and chose not to. It is about a young woman who loved him enough to risk everything by speaking out. It is about fans who realize their idols are not untouchable gods but fragile humans caught in monstrous systems. And it is about a society grappling with the price of silence. The story of Menglong and Xing Fei is far from over. Still unfolding. With every whisper, every fan campaign, every hesitant headline. But one thing is certain, the truth has been spoken. And once spoken, it cannot be erased. The world now knows that beneath the glittering lights of Chinese showbiz lies a darkness that must be confronted. Whether reform comes slowly or swiftly, justice is delivered or denied, the courage of these two individuals will remain a beacon. Perhaps years from now, when historians write about the turning points in the Chinese entertainment industry, they will look back at this moment, the night Xing Fei shattered the silence. The night Menglong's refusal became public, as the moment the tide began to turn. For now, their story belongs to the people. Millions who felt shock, anger, and admiration. And in that collective memory lies power. Because the truth is no longer hidden. The curtain has been pulled back. The world has seen what lies behind the glamour. No matter how hard the system tries, it cannot force the world to look away again. The truth is out. The silence is broken. The fight for dignity has only just begun.